The three-line rifle is one of the new weapons added in 1.5 Stalker 2 update. It is a bolt-action Moisen Nagant, moist critical, that can shoot enemies in the dome from far away. It's basically a weak M701 that cannot get the Holemaker attached to it, but is it good in the end game? Can it be used? And how much damage are we talking here? Let's look at the upgrades for the 3-line. So starting with the stock, you can choose an aiming speed 10% or a breath holding 75. Now breath holding is kind of a waste because if you just unzoom and rezoom, you have like a second of no sway. So you can quick scope and just keep like rezooming. So I don't really recommend this. Aiming speed is much better. For the center of the gun, you can have a scope mount, which allows you to attach a red dot or not, and attaching the red dot overrides the actual scope itself. So if you want to use this at closer ranges, you can run a red dot on it, but you do need the scope mount. There's also this aiming speed 10% adjustment for the top here, and you can either get moving while aiming 10% or aiming accuracy. And aiming accuracy, from what I remember, 'cause it's been a minute, it increases the time there is no sway when you zoom in for the first time. Well, not for the first time, but when you zoom in and then you have your aiming, your no sway period, it increases this. And then if you zoom out and re-zoom in, it'll do the same thing. Like it'll have no sway for a set duration. So either of these is fine, but moving while aiming is arguably a little bit better. And then for the barrel, wear and tear, this is always good to get. It just makes your gun last longer. It's nice to have. Weight reduction or aiming accuracy. So aiming accuracy is the same effect as that sway, you know, the cooldown before it sways. So if you like that, you can run it, but weight reduction is arguably better. And then we have extra barrel rifling, which prevents you from using base ammo and forces you to use high quality ammo or armor piercing ammo. So it still allows you to use a good amount of ammo, like a good variety of ammo, but you no longer can use base ammo. But it does give you substantially higher armor piercing, which does matter for headshots and breakpoints, and we'll go over that in a second. And then we have the tactical foregrip, which just gives you a little bit of everything: aiming accuracy, spread decrease, recoil decrease, and then we have flash suppressor, which reduces recoil and spread. And the only attachment for this gun is the red dot. And as far as I know, without mods, you can't pop the scope off or find one of these in iron sight form, and I'm pretty sure that's a mod. If it's not, definitely drop a correction down below, but from everything I could find online, and from looking around at vendors and trying to figure out different ways to pop the scope off, in the base game, unmodded, you cannot do this, unless there's like a unique that has it or something. So we upgraded our 3-line, let's check it out. Alright, so just like with all weapons, when you zoom, when you ADS, there is a small window before there is scope sway. So you can use this to line up shots and get pretty accurate headshots that way. The rifle individually loads ammunition. However, if you equip the red dot, and if we do ammo change, it does use a clip to load the internal magazine. But as far as I can tell, or at least randomly, sometimes it won't fully do this. You can't see my ammo count because I'm playing an ultra-wide. Okay, there it goes. So it is doing it correctly. It wasn't doing it correctly for me a little bit ago, but it should use the clip to reload the internal mag faster when you have the red dot. Now, if you switch between them, sometimes it kind of bugs out and forgets that it doesn't have the scope anymore, at least from testing. But if you want to have a more battle-ready version of the gun, you can throw the red dot on there, and it does have a better reload, and it still maintains its damage and range. So it's really up to you as to how accurate you are with it at one-time zoom. Let's do some breakpoint testing with a fully upgraded 3-line with the match ammunition. So there should be some enemies hanging around.
Something's wrong.
Oh, there's an exo. We missed him. Alright, so that is a mid-level exo. It did not one-shot headshot him. So we can safely assume that the other ammo, or the other guy will not get one-shot headshot. The brown helmet that's tankier, he will also not get one-shot headshot. Alright, it's 2-shot headshots to kill exoskeleton enemies with the match ammunition. 1-shot headshot to kill medium armors. Then it reloads a whole clip into the magazine. I know that'll upset a lot of people, but all of that is technically correct. Alright, so 2 shots him. 2 shots him. 1-shot headshot to the medium armor. So for early and middle game, the match ammunition and the base ammo should be good enough to 1-shot headshot. You do get more penetration when you switch to match and armor pen ammo only, though. You lose the ability to run base ammo, which isn't really a problem because the match ammunition is not that much more expensive than base ammo. Oops. So 2-shot headshots, the exos, 1-shot headshots, the mediums. Time to test the AP ammo. So based on the results, we could be looking at meaningful breakpoints here. So let's see what we get. 1-shot headshotted a brown helmet. 1-shot headshots the mediums. I think they're all going to be pushing through here. And then it does top off. I won't do the clip reload unless it's fully empty. So there should be some more enemies around here somewhere. Unless they just like spawned in dynamically. But assuming that this was not damaged, which I don't think it was, it does seem to be the case that a 1-shot headshots the brown helmet, which are the tankier of the two. So that's pretty huge if that is the case. So how would I rate the 3 line if I were to give it a rating? Well, considering it has good breakpoints, cheap ammo, cheap upgrades, good availability, and pretty much an abundance of ammo from vendors and from enemies for the most part, I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10. I would give it a higher rating, but there are much better options. The whip comes to mind, the SVU, the Lynx can all do what this can do, but they have a much faster fire rate and reload larger capacity magazines, whereas with this, it's, you know, reloading a single bullet at a time when scoped, and it can reload 5 with a stripper clip when it is empty or when you are changing ammo types. So it doesn't have the best reload. Also, compared to the M701 Super, it cannot be silenced as far as I know, and you cannot attach a hole maker to it. Both of those make the M701 much better, and the M701 has higher per shot damage and better penetration, so it's better against non-human enemies as well. And the fact that you can get hole maker allows you to deal with mutants and conserve durability and use shotgun ammo on a single weapon, which also conserves carry weight. So the M701 is very efficient because you can conserve carry weights, you can suppress it, you can do a lot of different things with it, and it also reloads an entire magazine at a time and has higher capacity than this weapon. But this is still a good weapon. It's definitely more technical, but honestly, like, the Rhino is better too. So, like, if you were looking for, you know, a weapon to just one-tap enemies with cheap, affordable ammo, that's the Rhino, like, all the way. This is a cool gun. I do like it. It is nice, but it's not as competitive. So, you know, 7.5 out of 10, which I think is fair. And obviously as good as you can get with the rifle, like, as long as you're landing a headshot like every shot, you'll get pretty good results even in close quarters like this, and you'll do okay. So even with the scope, it can still be used at point-blank range. And you can always crouch and go for a crouch headshot with reasonable accuracy. The hip fire accuracy I haven't really tested too much, but it seems to be about pretty similar to the M701. Let's see. It might be more accurate, but we can test it. Let's actually see if it hits where I'm aiming. Aim at the same spot. No, it's not. Yeah, it's just random bloom. So, like, I was aiming there, and it happened to be close. That other shot was way off. So the bloom on the hip fire is pretty comparable to the M701. So overall, cool gun. I like that it's endgame viable. I feel like all the early game guns, when fully upgraded, using special ammo types, should at least be usable in endgame. Like, obviously they're going to be worse because there's guns that can run base ammo, or just, you know, less expensive or less degrading ammo, and they have other properties that allow them to outshine these early game guns. But it would be nice to see like the AK being viable in endgame and the AR 416 being viable in endgame, and the Cora too. The Cora is just way too weak, given its breakpoints. It feels like I'm using the UDP, and it just has less ammo than the UDP. I think it does have slightly better breakpoints than the UDP, but the UDP is not good either, so like I wouldn't use either of them. The APS-B and the Rhino are still king for pistols, and the 3-line is a decent thing that you can use if you like it in endgame on veteran mode. It's viable. They can one-tap exos with AP ammo. It's good. If you like it, run it. If you don't, then don't.